welcome to the Strange Orphan podcast. I'm your host, Laura Steinell. These are the things you say, right? Right, guys? This is our first episode. This is Ep 1. This is Ep Uno. This is my foray into a strange new journey that I never could have seen myself going down. But here we are. I'm feeling really grateful to be here. Yeah, you put strange in the title of anything, and it's sort of a crapshoot if anyone's going to show up. So if you have, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, what are we doing here? What is this? What is this? It seems like lately you can't open your phone without getting hit with one of those estrangement posts. It seems like everybody and their dog has been cutting ties. There's a lot of grapes going on, and rightfully so. I just picture this like mass exodus of millennials and young adults storming out of their parents' homes on Christmas Eve to go like sit in a Target parking lot by themselves to protect their peace. And I get it. And I picture that because I've been there. I've been there. But yeah, for anyone who doesn't know me, by the way, my name is Laura Steinell, which is everyone who would know me. My name is Laura Steinell. I'm a writer. I'm a movie person. I'm also a strange orphan. I've been hanging out and kicking it in that Target parking lot since I would say 2018, for almost 10 years now. And honestly, I never thought my niche expertise of being estranged, of being an orphan, would come in handy, but these are strange times. And clearly the world needs us more than ever. But yeah, what I've found is that while everyone's talking about estrangement, no one was talking about the part I cared about, if that makes sense. Like, cutting ties is whatever. You can do it if you want, and you don't have to do it if you don't want, and that's fine. But I was more interested in like doing life afterwards. Like, cutting ties is the easy part. It's moving forward without the basic components of being like a normal human being. I don't know. Some of us have come from really crazy homes and really chaotic upbringings. And estrangement isn't just about your family. After a while, estrangement has nothing to do with your family. It has everything to do with cutting ties from an old version of yourself that you had to be to survive your original home. It has everything to do with like cleaning up someone else's mess. In my experience, cutting ties isn't the hard part. It's doing life after with the you that they made you into. Like, I thought I would cut ties and my life would just instantly get better. And actually, no, it didn't. It got way worse first. It's actually a pretty brutal plot twist, right? Like, we separate because we want a better life, and then we keep walking into the same mistakes and the same problems and the same patterns and the same bear traps, and we can't really see why our new life is just a carbon copy of the life that we left behind. And we're moving physically, but nothing in our peripheral is changing really. So I wanted to make a pod to kind of talk about the Strange Orphan journey and at least like my experience going through it. Should I fear bait you with more bear traps? Well, let's see. Everything you once knew about your core identity is probably going to be erased, and which doesn't feel good, right? Like, it doesn't feel good to lose your sense of identity, like foundational identity, right? But that kind of gets pulled away when you leave your original foundations. You lose a sense of your old identity without having the new one fully show up yet. I mean, it's healing. It's what healing is. It's the journey of healing, but it's also gross. And it leaves you feeling sort of existentially nude for a while. So that's a hard one. You also lose a sense of like foundational tethering. Like the house that is you has blown away, right? And your entire foundation, the entire like core of like roots and what you build into the earth and how you stabilize yourself and how you build a home and how you create foundation for yourself probably never was formed on solid foundation. And now you have to rebuild that understanding within yourself on something that is not a mud pit. You have to, that means like fortifying your nervous system and really doing all the work to like ground yourself and not keep running away. And it can be very jarring. This is like the worst. I cut ties from my family right before COVID, and not the best time to be like completely on your own. And so all of a sudden I didn't know where I belonged or what I should be doing. And as a sad orphan, like growing up in a crazy house, you kind of paint these ideas that like your real home and your real family is somewhere out there for you to find. And the problem with that is it just gets really expensive and tiring because you're moving a lot. And so during COVID, I uprooted my entire life to the English countryside, thinking that my real home and my real family was like in a cottage somewhere, like a Great British Baking episode brought to life. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but then I wouldn't recommend being in a plague by yourself either. That's not fun. But yeah, you shouldn't dump the entire contents of your apartment in Los Angeles in the trash and uproot to a foreign country if you're in the midst of, foundational reassessment. If you're cutting ties right now, just no sudden moves, no big moves. I think that's like the first thing they tell you in those grief books. But it was COVID and I was alone. So, give me some grace. Jobs will no longer make sense. Neighborhoods will suddenly feel stifling. Friendships you've had for years will reveal themselves as slightly toxic, or in my case, oddly competitive. If you had a tough mom, watch who your friends are now. What? Romantic relationships will feel like emotional Chinese finger traps that you can't get out of. And that will become very ugly, learning who you trauma bond with. Now I know if someone feels like home to just like run in the opposite direction. It means no if they feel good. It's a trauma bond. It's a hot stove. Get out of there. What else? You'll lose even more family, more relationships, unless you have a very sturdy partner who's cool with you, like turning into a Nicolas Cage movie and just like your face melting off and becoming someone totally new. You should just be on your own for a little while to like decompose and change into somebody else. You probably have no boundaries and you spend your life catering to the lunatics in the world because making them feel better reminds you of being at home or trying to find safety at home. You definitely will feel guilt anytime you attempt to choose yourself at all. So that's fun. I felt like I constantly was like haunted by this woman who lived upstairs in London from me because she like kind of reminded me of my mother, but like also kind of reminded me of like a ghost. And I felt it was my job to like fix her. More on that later. Your nervous system is probably a Jell-O mold, made out of weak threats and credit card debt. Trying to nurture yourself is a joke. You probably have never been taught how to nurture yourself. You probably have never been taught how to soothe yourself. It'll feel like eating with your foot at first, or like throwing a face mask into like the Grand Canyon. It'll be hard. You won't like it at first. Um, you might realize you're stunted, as I did. I desperately wanted a family, but like I didn't want to make one with my body. Like I just wanted to kind of ingratiate myself into someone else's family. Like I wanted to be like the fifth character on a TV show that we don't know a ton of backstory about, but they're like always eating in the fridge. that would that would be my dream scenario, to just be included, but not have any pressure. Um, and if it sounds confusing, it definitely was. Yeah, I think I was waiting for someone to like usher me to the right conveyor belt, if that makes sense, which you don't get in a crazy home. Um, you might sometimes feel like you're worthless or bad person for reasons that you can't understand, and that if someone cut you open, you'd be like catching an old shark, and like cans of soup and boots would just come out with mud. Yeah, you should be kinder to yourself. You might feel cursed. You might feel doomed. You might feel like you need an exorcism. You should. It helps. And if you had a narcissistic parent, well, congrats. You can time these all by 10. Um, so yeah, I'd say there's a lot to cover. And then there's just like the annoyingly confusing grievances, right? Like what do I say on dates now? How do I spin this awful personal narrative of like chaotic home / child abuse into something sexy and upbeat for date 3? I'm too tired. How many Christmases do I have to sit at the Tiny Tim seat next to like someone's grandma and pretend to be grateful, but you're just like listening to her talk about like lupus all night, but you're grateful to be there because you don't have a family? Like, what is discernment? Like, there's so many things we have to learn. Like, there's so many things we have to learn. Like, what is discernment? What is discernment? How does it work? If someone smiled at me, I would just get in their car. And it was like that for, I would say, the first 20 years of my life. So you got to learn how to uh, discern whatever it is. Plus, society sort of like hates us. You know, there's this stigma. If I don't know if anybody's told you, there's a stigma. We threaten their ecosystem of normal and stable. So they kind of treat us a little bit like, like lone wolves. Lone wolves that haven't done anything except to get hit by a car. I don't have answers to any of these. These are just, this is what you guys are going to tell me what discernment is. So there's all these pitfalls and tough aspects of estrangement. But I think the real hard work, if we were really going to like dive in, it's trying to unbecome the people we were raised to be and trying to uncover the people we truly are. A little bit about me. This is where I recoil back into myself. I grew up in a very heavily narcissistic and chaotic household, as did like every millennial. I feel like every millennial is like, was it really that bad for you? Because it was really that bad for me. And it was. Like, what was going on in all of our homes? Anyway, there was a lot of abuse, there was a lot of manipulation, and there was nonstop criticism. And these external forces that are just so punishing and so toxic after a while, they just sort of erode your sense of normalcy and your spirit. And I feel like the person I became was someone to survive that house and not really who I was. I didn't really know who I was coming out of that situation. I couldn't really function in a healthy way. Everything was sort of a trauma response. I think my whole career was a trauma response in a way, but I liked it. I'm not complaining. I really liked it. Um, but I couldn't hold it. I didn't have the nervous system to hold it. I thought the world was against me. I saw everything as an attack. And so we come out of these families and these homes with these like goggles of mud on that we have to find an entirely new way to see the world. And not only that, like to calm our nervous systems and to figure out who we are and what we like and to build a new foundation inside of us that like connects us to the divine. There's so much work to do. One of my favorite quotes is by this OG essayist from the 16th century, Michel de Montaigne. He's a French Renaissance philosopher. And he wrote, "The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself." And it sounds so simple, but for so many of us, like, it truly is the work of a lifetime to uncover who you are, to build a person that can hold who you truly are, and to come back to our internal compass, like our sovereignty, to discover our truth. Most of us have never been taught how to steer our attention like back to that clear voice that connects you to God, that clear voice that connects you to the divine. And like, how do we uncover that radio signal that we were given at birth to God when it was so manipulated and muddied over by our original homes? I think my biggest thing is like, I just suffered for so long thinking that I was limited by my upbringing. And you're not. Like, nothing limits you except the confines of what you believe in your mind. And also your nervous system. We do need to work on the nervous system. It will limit you. I think when it comes to a brutal upbringing, our antennas can get so bent and so distorted and messed with, especially when you come from a narcissistic or abusive home. And I just wanted to get back to that pure radio signal of like truth, of God. And that takes a lot of work. That's what this pod is about. Like, how do we clear away all the noise and all the garbage and all the negative programming and realize that someone else's damage should have never been our ceiling for a good life, for happiness? I guess that's what this podcast is about, really. It's Radio Shack. I also wanted to say, some of you are doing this entirely on your own. Some of you are living in your cars right now. Some of you are sleeping on a friend's couch. When safety is an issue, and you don't have the resources and the foundation to support you, and you just got to get out, it's so brutal. And you're just trying to hold down your job at Starbucks while you are like eroding from the heart. And I just wanted to give a shout out to anybody who's really going through it without the support, because I feel you and I see you, and there have been many parts of this journey for me that have just, there's been like barely any gravel beneath my feet. And I think that's like, if you're still trying to do life with a kind heart and those are your circumstances, you're literally doing the work of ascended masters. Like, you are carrying your cross. And I just want to give a shout out and some love to those people who are really getting pummeled by it right now, because it sucks. And it won't be like this forever. You will get your feet back underneath you, I promise. And also, just because it's hard doesn't mean that it's wrong. Like, difficult doesn't mean go back. The devil you know is still the fucking devil. Do not recommend. But yeah, that's it on the intro ep. I have so much like respect and awe for anyone who's like trying a new thing because I don't like it. Like I like to be in control. I like to be like tight, looking good. No, this is humbling, humbling to be in this position. So, woof, woof to new things. But that's the journey. That's the journey we're on. It's all new things. You gotta be a little vulnerable, right? So yeah, we're gonna have a good time with this. We're gonna because we deserve to. And there will be complaining, but minimal complaining. Maybe more than minimal. I like to live in the solution, not the problem. So if you come back, you're coming back we want results. We want change. We want optimism. We want a good life. We're making muffins out of this. Okay? We're making Martha Stewart's jail poncho. We're gonna be cozied up in the optimistic future of a new day. I'll tell you what we're not gonna do. We're not gonna stay stuck. Okay? Because we deserve a good life, no matter who it pisses off, right? Yeah. All right. Welcome to the orphanage. Welcome to Strange Orphan. I'm so happy you stopped by, and I hope you will come back again.